Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Friday. I'm on my first cup of coffee, so sorry in advance. I'm gonna sip a little.
No worries at all. I've got my coffee here. I'm with you. I'll admit I am beyond my first cup.
I'm a multi-cupper as well, but this morning's been a little wild. So
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat. Amy, could you give us a little bit of background about yourself and your current role?
yes, my name is Amy Hyatt. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I currently work for QuickNode.com, and I have been in customer success. I started out more in account management, which I think has now melded into the term customer success for pretty much my whole career. So we're going on 3 decades.
Amazing, amazing. I always get excited when I talk to people who have been in customer success since before it was called customer success, because I feel like it's interesting to see what's actually new and what has been carried through. So I think we'll have maybe a good conversation. I'm always curious, what made you want to work with customers and clients directly?
I I don't know. I think it was ingrained in me. I've always been a bit of an extrovert. And I've always sort of been more pulled to the post-sale relationship than the pre-sale relationship. And deepening that, more than just pushing a transaction or having, them go on to the next. So I think it's that. Just that forward facing. I also think, there's when I've had a really great customer experience, it has resonated with me. And I want to, continue building teams that help, support and build great experiences for our customers as well.
Something that I hear a lot of differing opinions about is like, what's the relationship between customer success and customer support for you and in your world?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I've held roles where they've actually been combined. So the previous role I had before QuickNode was at a company called Remo, and I actually had support and customer success. Some companies separate them. I've also had teams that were combined with sales. So it was sales and customer success. So I think the term is a little bit broad as far as what it can consider, but my definition of the two to me, customer support is actually feedback or a problem with your actual platform or your service that requires possibly technical support, but that would be a one-time, I have a problem, let me fix it for you type of situation. Customer success is a long-term relationship building strategy, outlying, you know, relationship that will go over the life of your contract and hopefully the life of continuing to renew with you, and we experience a great deepened relationship and know your use cases. So to me it's truly a strategic move. It's a strategic partnership that again goes the whole length of your contract and beyond.
So thinking about kind of the strategic aspect of customer success, like what would you say are the big components of a successful customer success program?
Yeah, I think for my team, I really push them to know everything about their customers. So the way that we do it here is you're assigned a book of business. So each of my team members have about 45 to 50 accounts on average. For some smaller businesses, they can go a larger book of business. And for our most strategic top customers, our largest revenue driving customers, we only do about 20 per CSM. It's a light, fluffy thing, but they need to know their book of business rock solid. So they need to know the usage. They need to know the use cases. They need to know who the champions are. We have goals to, increase the number of contacts at that location. What products and services that we offer are great matches that they're not using? How do they feel about us? How are they happy with, are they meeting their contract terms? Is there something that's causing friction? Have they had support issues? All of these things kind of play into what I would consider as like a strategic account approach. But we're always hands-on, and my team actually has to report on their entire book of business once a month to me, and then once a quarter to me plus our executive team.
Interesting. Do you mind if we drill in on this a little bit? I think it's kind
Go
of a
it. Let's
fascinating
do
view.
it.
In those like monthly reports and quarterly reports, like what sort of things are your CSMs sharing? Like, what
Yeah.
conversations are you having with them?
Yeah, so it would obviously be, they need to be an expert on their book of business. So that's the first thing I'm looking for is I want to be able to poke holes. How well do you know company X? What are they doing? Or like I'll prep before the call and I want to ask a little more questions about a particular use case. And what are we doing about that? Right now, one of our biggest things is just engagement. So many people want to engage async. So how do you have a customer, especially in the tech industry, which we are in, want to sync with you in a live conversation like we're having right now? It's very difficult. I'm curious strategies. So we track engagement levels, we track engagement number of times in a contract time period, and then tie that into the success and renewals. So talking a lot about what verbiage did they use to get them to buy this, or where did we have troubles, or this one looks like, their usage is dropping off. Do we know what's happening? We expect them to know what's happening in the press. What's happening with this company? Are they growing? Did they acquire someone? Looking for opportunities to, feed CSQLs to the sales team. So it's really, it's just an open-ended conversation, and really it's basically looking for opportunities, I guess, to summarize, to protect and grow revenue, and to make sure that our relationship is solid and healthy.
So, I mean, it feels like there's a lot of factors that you consider with all of your customers, which is really, really interesting. Are you using some kind of customer success platform for your CSMs to keep track of all this stuff, or how are they, like, where does this data come from, I guess?
Yeah. So our tech stack today is Salesforce and HubSpot. Both, one for marketing, one for sales. We have Zendesk, and we have Slack, we have Telegram, and Discord, which are interesting in the particular space I work in. We have to work in all. And then most of our data comes from Metabase and our company admin panel. So that's the majority of rich data that I would say is the usage, and everything come from our actual technology platform. It gets fed into Metabase. We also use a company that's pretty fascinating called Pocus. They are pretty cool. It's a product-led, platform that does they can do triggers, they can track activities, they can do a lot of really cool things, and they're very keen to kind of set up different options for us.
That's awesome. That's a great overview. I think you're the first person I've talked to using both HubSpot and Salesforce. So
yeah, they integrate together. We have them we have it working, but one side is marketing, one side is specific to sales. But so most of my team would be in Salesforce, not HubSpot, but we do look into HubSpot for some marketing, to see, open emails and, kind of those sort of things.
When thinking about customer health, especially when you're talking with your CSMs, are you primarily data driven? Like, is it based on usage and things like that? Or is there a qualitative component as well where CSMs are kind of using their best judgment?
It's both. So our health score today is, it's pretty lengthy. So obviously if they are paying us on time, that's one part of it. Usage plus minus variance is one. If they, in our specific to our industry, if they took certain actions, so if they added a new chain, they added a new endpoint, these are considered healthy growth activities for us as a company. So that's part of a health score. We also look, I do want to touch on NPS because I'm pretty passionate about that. We do not have NPS at ours. We also do not have CSAT, which I know that varies from different people you'll speak in this industry, but happy to speak why I don't do those things. But we do judge our number of engagements. So we have certain engagements, and where I think gut instinct comes in is they rate how those engagements are on a scale of 1 to 10. We can have async engagements that can be very strong, right? Like you can be having a strategic conversation in Telegram, And that can be a higher rated engagement, even though it's async. So getting an engagement rating per customer is really important to us. And then we have check-ins that we obviously onboard all of our new customers. And then we have 90, 180 day, 270 and renewal. So those are our key check-ins, like did they accept having a QBR? So there might be some things around those check-ins specifically, looking to drive behavior growth.
I am dying to know your opinions about CSAT and NPS. I think you're the first person I've talked to who has said you don't like them. Tell us more.
Well, I'm in the tech industry. And I used to be in the travel industry. When I was in the travel industry, that was, surveys and NPS were our bloodline, right? At least according to our brains. But in the tech industry, it is not something they desire to do. I work with a lot of 20-year-olds and they think it's old school. It's what their parents and grandparents would have done. That is direct feedback from them, by the way. So I tested this out. I did an NPS launch and, we were getting 2% back. Some people are like 2%, cool. And I'm like, no, I hit a customer 1,403 times and they X'd out of it. That's bad. I don't care about the 14, or 20 that replied. I care about the ones I annoyed. And it was a bad experience on our platform for those people. And that's why I'm anti of it. I also feel people fill those out in an instant based on emotion or annoyance. So to me, it has not proven downline to feed back to whether those people really love us or whether they're going to renew with us. It's not an indicator to me. I've proven that out. So I've just kind of stopped annoying my customers by having this thing pop up at them.
That's super insightful. That's very interesting. My sense is that your customer success team has quite a lot that they like to manage, they need to manage, and it seems pretty well structured. Are you like playbook oriented? Do you have a set of playbooks that you like to use?
Yes, we are playbook coming out our ears. We have a playbook for everything. Our playbooks all sit in Notion. So we have a whole section of customer success and sales. I'm on the revenue team. So we go revenue is sales and CS. So that's our kind of Notion page. But yeah, we have playbooks for absolutely everything. We do though, what I really enjoy is there's playbooks, there's guidelines, but we don't dictate, we don't take away, your personality. So we're not telling you specific verbiage. We might give you some guidelines as an example, but you can create your own way. You can go your own channel. I've got different people with different personalities, and by letting them be authentic, that's how they come off as trustworthy and gain, and so we want to keep that personality with them. So yeah, playbooks for guidance, but not playbooks where, we lock in an SOP.
That's super interesting. So thinking about like how you bring new CSMs into your team, like what do you look out for to get a sense of like this person's going to be really extraordinary at operating the system that we've set up? Like, what would you say is the difference between good and great?
Yeah, I just hired one. We have the luxury of having a lot of referrals. And so, that helps, people that have worked with this person and highly recommend. The person I just hired, believe it or not, we're not a big company and they had 2 referrals, the same person. So that was a big eye catcher for me. I definitely we do an extensive interview process. It's 7 rounds. It's not easy. It goes over 2 months. You have to really want this job, just hang in there. But we do, I'm looking at how you present. I'm like, do you come off to me during the interview process as being trustworthy? And, I ask not hard questions to throw them off, but questions they're going to get asked in a day in the life. And I like them to quantify. So if anybody's applying for a CS position, don't just be nice to me. I appreciate that, but I promise you every applicant's being nice to me. Show me the money, right? Like give me some quantitative experience that you have, give me some situational successes. And that's what will really, I think, excite me and excite the others in the interview process for us.
That's awesome. So thinking a little more broadly, just about customer success, how would you, first of all, do you think that it's evolved much in the last, say, 3 to 5 years? And if so, how would you say it's changed?
Yeah, I think the big thing is the term customer success can include anything. I'm not sure if whoever came up with that was like tricky and intentional on that, but yeah, I think it has evolved. To me, my history was traditional like global account management, strategic account management, which I think now has the new hat of customer success or strategic customer success. So to me, it's similar, but it has evolved. I think we have to be much more technical. We have to be much more able to talk to the C-suites. That used to be more of a sales thing, in my opinion, but now we have to talk about contract clauses and renewals and negotiations. So the job keeps, in my opinion, becoming like a blend of we're account management, we're sales, and we're support, but we're also like the voice of the customer internally. So my team gets hit constantly by cross-functional teams that want data and information on enterprise level customers. So we're in a unique position where we can help drive our entire build, our entire pipeline, right? We literally control that, by having great, great feedback. We have a product called Product Board, and we also use Gong. We have big tech stack. And we're feeding anything back into our other teams. So if it's a partnership opportunity, if it's a marketplace opportunity, again, something to drive our engineers, our product roadmap, driving that. If there's something that's just been a continual customer service problem, we've got to solve. So really acting as the voice of the customer throughout our entire organization. So yeah, it's a tough role. It takes a broader skill set every month. I swear we're having something added to our scope of work, and I don't see that changing in the future.
I wish I had a better way to describe it, but I've heard it called like the junk drawer role. Like, everybody's got that drawer with like paper clips and hot sauce packets in it. And it's like kind of customer success. It's the gray area role.
It is the gray area. It's also, you have to be really careful as a leader, because we also can be the dumping ground. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think we all know it, like we do the crappy work, we do the downgrades, we take the upset customers, we take all this stuff nobody else wants to deal with. But you can flip that and make that a huge value add. Like you can track that and how many you handled and the outcomes of those, and how essentially that drove, better downline processes, better sales, or more revenue. Having a downgrade customer because that's a better fit contract, but they stay for 3 years. That's great. That's a good story, right? Just downgrading a customer and having it, oh, we lost $1,000 a month. Bad story. So I think more than anything, we have to be storytellers, and we have to bring a lot of our activities full circle for the longer term, and just keep that value up in their faces.
I totally agree with you. It sounds like you've got a pretty good connection with your product team there, is being part of that kind of voice of the customer. How do you think about how to determine when you've got a situation where you've got customers downgrading? Is this a customer success, onboarding success? Did we get to value fast enough problem, or bad product fit? Like, how do you think about those types of problems when you're in a startup, so you're moving quickly?
Yeah, it's we really do try to figure out the root issue of that. I feel pretty confident, at least where we are now, that the value is seen. We're in Web3 blockchain. So it's companies can just simply not be in business tomorrow. So, or have something happen. So, those all get considered, but we track reason codes that we can report on those. So I do first level reason codes, but then I can get to the meat, the more detail. But it's also helped us. I mean, one situation was we had people that were in our self-serve product that moved to an enterprise level customer. They thought they were ready, right? They thought they were ready. They didn't maybe have, maybe the timing wasn't right, or it got pushed by 6 months by their execs, whatever the story is. and then we'll go ahead and just downgrade them again, let them come back when they're ready. So I think it's that flexibility though, especially in our specific line of work. It wasn't that anybody did anything wrong. It was their business model change. We could be real jerks and be like, too bad, so sad. And, maybe we make a few extra $1,000, but then they're probably not going to, go tell everybody we're a great company to work with. So, I think it's every situation just weighing out the long-term gains. But if there's an opportunity with sales, that was great feedback. We could be like, can we ask more qualifying questions at the sales process to prevent this? So that's kind of an example of how I would say cross-functionally, we would feedback and keep improving us as a company so these don't happen again.
I was thinking you mentioned that you're a Web3 blockchain company, and I can imagine a lot of unique challenges for companies like yours. Like, how much time do you spend educating customers about just like the state of the world or new technologies? I know there's a lot of legislative questions in the Web3 world. Like, is that something your team thinks about, or is that something that is kind of more broadly in your company?
We are very lucky to have a mind-blowing content team that really wants to be forward-facing and best in market with this. So we have a ton of reference materials on our website. We have a YouTube channel, lots of Twitter stuff happening. But we're trying to educate not just for the programmer, very complex, right? But also the buyer of maybe a Web 2 moving into Web 3 space, or people that are working for a blockchain company for the first time. So we're all levels. I think we're kind of like beginner, intermediate, and programmer is kind of how I would look at it. We have a really fun, dorky series. It's called like Blockchain for 5-year-olds. It's perfect. But yeah, we're actually education, and we want people to be able to speak about the value of blockchain. What is Web3, and be able and get excited about programming on QuickNode, so they can go tell all their friends. It's a very incestuous industry right now.
That's awesome. That's great. So would you say this is part of like an intentional scaled customer success program? Like, is that the way you think about it, or is this just kind of like here's the playbook I want to do in terms of like making sure our customers are up and running?
We are always looking to control costs, like in a smart way, right? Like I'll add if I need to add, but if I can automate, that's always going to be my preference. We are looking at automating a lot more of the reports that we need, a lot more progress to goals for the team kind of stuff right now. So yeah, automating, payment processes and just kind of making it simple, because we take crypto as a form of payment as well. So we have multiple forms of payment. So, unique to our team too, when we go to, send out, crypto links every month to get paid and then track them. So that's something probably other people don't have to do. But that could be automated, right? So there's different ways that we can get smarter, I think, in a lot of ways. So that's really our goal. And we are a very flat org in the fact that everybody on the team has a really huge voice. So if they're seeing or hearing something, or we feel like we're just being too clunky, too slow, or not tightened up enough, or, we're all doing it too many different ways, whatever that is, we'll come together and right now, because we're so small, let's change it. It's awesome.
That is
why
awesome.
I love startups.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. I think automation is kind of an interesting topic for a lot of people in customer success right now, right? Like, I think everybody's thinking about it at least a little bit. Everybody's trying to think about how to be more cost efficient. When you are thinking about automation opportunities, like, what is your, how do you make an assessment about, like, is it worth the investment to automate this process versus, keeping it manual or having people continue to do the work?
Yeah, I actually do a formal time and motion study. So I'll look at your product. You tell me how much you think it's going to save me, and then I'll challenge you. And then I'll actually test somebody going through the exact actions we take in a monthly, and I'll add up those hours. And if there's an ROI, I'll buy your product.
That's awesome. It's a very rational way to do it. I don't know how many people do it your way, but I think it's the right. I would agree that that's the right way, for sure. Amy, this is my last question. It's always my favorite. Kind of looking forward, if you put your futurist hat on, how do you see customer success changing, or what's exciting to you about changes that you feel are coming?
AI is here. We are very lucky too. We are a company that uses Chat GPT. We have licenses. It's a major part of our day. It helps us write emails and playbooks and processes already. So I am excited to see where, AI and robotics come in. I think digital onboarding is going to be an interesting next step in this space. Again, pros and cons. It's like how I love it for self-serve. When you're dealing with top MRR, is a digital experience kind of personal enough? So we're kind of playing with some of this right now, but that's where I see it going. I see a lot of people wanting to self-serve as our buyers get younger, which of course they will every year. They want something different. And we have to hear them. Our buyers are 20 and 30-year-olds, and our buyers have been gamers since they were babies, and they don't have the same needs, I think, for the, kind of live interactions as different generations do. So to me, having a generational strategy is crucial. Knowing your customers and what they want, to ask them the questions. Customer advisory boards can be really incredible for getting some of that feedback. But your own team can too. I mean, I have a very broad generational team intentionally because they match with different customers better than others. So I mean, I've got my 20-year-old that is like, do not put me on a Zoom call. I'm not turning my camera on, but I'll talk to you all day long on Telegram.
Interesting.
I will strategize in writing in Telegram, but not like this. So, yeah.
Interesting. I definitely had a moment of like, oh wow, people are getting younger. The first time I hired somebody who was born after I graduated, right? You're like, oh, this is different.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, what does that make me? Yeah. Yeah. Deal with it all the time. Or they'll say something I know nothing about. Like I don't even know what that is. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose because of being in crypto, have been lightly involved in crypto, various things over the years, and Discord certainly very popular. Telegram is the one that is always interesting to me. That so much happens there.
So much happens there.
Do you find like you have a hard time keeping track of all the conversations happening inside of Telegram?
Telegram. It's we can't get rid of it, right? So you just got to face it, right? So we try to be like, wouldn't you like to come to Slack? And they're like, no, we would not. And we're like, okay, so we'll just meet you where you are. So we do manage customer relationships in Telegram. It does not have the same functionality as Slack. And it might, it's fine. It's, your back and forth conversation. We can add groups of people, internal and external. It can do all that. You can attach items, it's the history stays. So there's some good things about it, but it's not close to the level where Slack is, quite frankly. But yeah, we manage where our customers are. And resisting that is, it's going to be problematic. And it's working, it's an extra thing you check. It's an extra thing on, it's open on your tab. But we make it work.
You've dodged a little bit of a bullet, I think. So the thing that I hear from a lot of tech companies who work with enterprises, they also have to work in Microsoft Teams. And I would rather be in Telegram than Teams. If you had to choose.
I can tell it well without I do not. We have a couple Google Meet customers that want to meet, and they won't do Zoom. They'll do good. We don't have any. I don't think I've been on a Teams call in years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's I see it a little more and more, but it's having worked in it, I would just as soon not.
Yeah. What also is interesting in this space, because we use Gong, which I love Gong, is no one wants to be recorded. So we have to do a lot of, letting them know it's recorded and the purpose of it. Making sure they're comfortable before every call is really important to us. So this is a very, what's super unique, which I'm pretty sure this does not happen to most other people, is I might have a customer for 2 years and all I know is his name is like Cutie Pie 2.
Yep.
I don't know his name or her name. I don't know who they are. I know nothing but their call on Telegram. The end. But we have a very healthy relationship.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. I love it. I think that like the whole cypherpunk ethos inside of crypto is really fun. I think it makes for better technology as well.
Yeah,
Trust-free technology, I think is very interesting. So
yeah.
amazing. Amy, those were all my questions. This was really great. I genuinely like, you had, I think, some really unique insights that I always love hearing something that I haven't heard a bunch of times before. I think you've got a bunch of that. So it's really awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah, appreciate it. It was fun, Paul.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Have a wonderful Friday.
Yeah, you too,
Enjoy your
Paul.
weekend. All right,
Thanks
take
a
care.
lot. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.